block.
I call the meeting order. You join us in the pledge, please.
I said, well, he should have stopped.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to take the agenda out of order, and we're going to begin with the professional growth plan presentation.
Our presentation's back there, but where is it best for us to see?
Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to just let you know that we have Jen Levitt and Nicole Anderson here to present the professional growth plan that is being, it's currently considered a draft form that's submitted to the state. The state uses a rubric to assess the plan to make sure we have the requirements in there for a professional growth plan. Then it's sent back to us if we have to make revisions. Or it's approved as written. The intent is for a presentation tonight regarding the plan. It will come back to us, and we'll be bringing it to the joint board for a vote in July. So I just wanted to make sure that the board knew of the process that would happen from this point forward.
But at the last meeting, you said that there was not going to be a vote by the board.
And I've rethought that, and I feel it's important that we bring it to the full joint board for a vote.
Has it gone to the state yet?
Not yet. So you're getting the presentation now, and we have to bring it to the state, submit it to the state by June 15th. So you'll see it. You'll see a presentation this evening. The Milton School Board will see it on June 11th. We'll submit it by the 15th, get the state's feedback, and then we'll bring the draft form back to the full joint board in July. Thank you.
So I'm Jen Levitt, and I'm the Title I coordinator at the Paul School, and I'm also the chair of the Professional Growth Committee.
I'm Nicole Anderson. I'm the library media specialist, and I'm the appointed professional development rep for the teachers here at Paul School.
First, I want to start with going over the Professional Growth Committee. The committee members change each year. Some stay and some come and go, but the committee is made up of staff, community members, school board members, and the various levels of staff. So there's some paraprofessionals, some teachers, and also administrators. So this is just a list throughout the SAU of all the different committee members that are on the committee. The committee started in 2011, so it's been a process over the last few years. And we started by researching and visiting other schools and going over the different plans that other schools had, what we liked, what we didn't like, coming up with a vision, attending some professional development opportunities on it. And we did also present it to the staff last year for some feedback and what they felt was appropriate and what concerns and questions the staff had as well. The purpose that we came up with was just to really focus in on student learning. So we wanted to make sure that the professional growth plan had a lot to do with student learning and what was important to drive student learning so that each plan was individualized for students. As you go through the plan, and I know a copy was given to each of you, there are different tracks. The different tracks are based on what is important for each teacher, depending on whether they've been here for a while or been here new. We wanted to make sure that they had enough support. So there's the non-tenure track. Those are for teachers who have been teaching for less than 5 years. They get a little bit more support, and they kind of wean into the process with some mentoring, some support from other teachers. They have a little bit less expectations, and as they continue to be in the school district, they have more. And then we have the experienced teachers who have a little bit more expectations on them, but also a little leniency at the same time with less observations. There's an improvement plan for teachers who have been identified for one way or another in those improvement phase, either through awareness or they need help in one way or another. Administrators have their own individual plan, as well as paraprofessionals and specialists, and theirs varies based on their role and what's required of them.
Since this started in 2011, we did have a professional growth plan prior to that. But there were a lot of pieces that were missing, as the biggest piece was that most of the goals that teachers had to do for their recertification process really didn't have to be focused on student goals and student learning. And we really wanted to change that and say everything we do in education is all about student achievement. And how do we have more than just one observation a year saying that, yes, this teacher is doing a good job. And we wanted to make it more about what's happening in the classroom, what the teachers are doing, instead of just one observation, but an overall evaluation process for each teacher.
So this goes over the different domains of Danielson as well as the student data that's required, and that all goes into their portfolio.
And the portfolio is a way of showing administrators everything that a teacher has done over their 3-year recertification process with their SLOs or goals. Everything relates back to student achievement as well as reflections. There's a rubric that is new this year to make sure that all teachers are being evaluated on an equitable basis. No matter where you are as a teacher, you have the exact same evaluation rubric for your SLOs and student achievement. Yes.
SLO is student learning objective?
Yes.
So SLO is a student learning objective.
I was thinking about you.
Sorry.
A student learning objective is a little bit different than a goal because it's really student oriented. Did you like that transition? That worked out well, didn't it? Yes.
Sorry.
Can you explain, is Danielson the method that you're using?
Yes, Charlotte Danielson wrote the book called A Framework for Teacher Leadership, teacher evaluation.
Effective teaching.
Effective teaching, thank you. And I think the first edition was published in 1998. Many of our previous plans stuck to her original. When the second edition came out, there was a lot of specialists that were added in because a classroom teacher is different than a social worker, is different than a school counselor. So when we did this in 2011, we wanted to make sure that we included all the specialists and evaluating them based on what they're doing and not based on the method for a classroom teacher.
Okay.
It does go over in the plan all the different areas of Danielson too.
Yes.
Okay, that's, okay.
Just so that you have that too.
Perfect.
I couldn't tell you the page, but it does have it.
Okay.
So the student learning objective is a little bit different than a goal because it goes over, it starts with the data and you look at what is, what we need to build up in the classroom. And then we start creating a goal for our students. What do we want the students to accomplish by the time they leave us? And so that we create that goal, and that's the student learning objective. The learning goal is what is the big idea of that? Why do they need to learn this to be successful in society? Then you take assessments and scoring to make sure that you are meeting that goal, and your timeline is to help you accomplish that goal. So if you give an assessment, the students aren't learning it, what can you change to make it so your students aren't learning it? So you're always reflecting on the students and how to change your practices in order to make that happen. A different area of the plan is for paraprofessionals. They don't do as much with student learning objectives, so they have goals instead. So they have a portfolio that they have to do. They have to be highly qualified. They have an observation each year. Their portfolio is around their goals and their and around professional development hours to make sure they're keeping up with their hours instead of the SLO. And that's the portfolio that they have to continue with. So as we continue with the plan, we keep going with continuous feedback from staff, and we continue to make improvements on the plan based on staff and support and what some issues are that continues to come up. It's a continuous document that we keep working on, why we keep working on it for years, and we'll continue to work on it as things improve or we find some issues with things. And are there any questions?
You've only been working on this since 2011?
Just since 2011. We'll keep working.
And there was one prior, right?
There was one prior.
So our current professional growth plan was submitted, approved, and we've been working off of that for 2 years now, I believe? Or
3 years.
3 years?
3 years.
And,
2011.
Yeah, started 2011.
So now it's time for us to resubmit a new plan. So we took the old plan and revised it through the extensive committee work that you saw. Mr. Brown was part of that as a representative of the board. And this is basically our final draft that will go to the state.
Now that the board has rejected Common Core, and this is aligned with how is this going to be compatible? with,
Compatible with,
our new local standards?
well, it's not a matter of compatibility. It's a matter of determining how we're going to utilize, particularly our state assessment, if we use that as a student learning objective, as a means of determining student growth, because the state assessment's based on Common Core, so it's going to be very difficult to utilize that as a data point. However, the process of evaluating and providing supervision for teachers isn't impacted by what standards we use. It will impact our data points that we use to evaluate. Mary? Yeah.
Yeah.
We also changed the verbiage in the plan to reflect the school's adopted standards rather than the New Hampshire College and Career Ready standards, so that the plan is in sync with Wakefield's adopted standards.
And also in line with Milton, because do we accept
Yes.
this as a
Yes.
district, right? So
Yes.
the changing the verbiage of that makes it unified
Okay
for both of
for
us.
both, correct.
So we separated out what standards are being used in each district.
Okay.
Well,
This is required to be approved by the state every 5 years, 3 years? How often does this have to be approved?
This is a 5-year plan. If you'll notice on the cover, this one's a 5-year plan. It'll take us through 2019, at which time we'll end up doing a revision. That doesn't mean the committee doesn't have anything to do. It still will keep reviewing and go through the continuous cycle of improvement, just as Jen and Nicole have said.
how are we gonna protect, student data?
I'm not sure where that question applies to this topic, Mr. Brown.
Data collection?
Mhm.
How are we gonna protect student data
All the
once
data.
it's being collected?
All the data that's part of this process is the data that we have in-house. It's our local data and the data that's provided through state assessments.
And who is it shared with?
Staff and parents. The parents receive data scores as well, particularly from the state assessments.
State?
I'm sorry?
State?
State assessments are,
Is the data collection gonna be shared with the state?
our state assessment automatically goes to the state. And our NWEA data, we can choose to have it automatically go into what's known as Performance Plus, which is a software that the state, I should say the majority of districts throughout the state use to analyze data. We have an option of that at the local. Same thing with Ames Web data that we currently use. But what's automatically provided to the state is the state assessment results,
What about any other data?
not automatically provided.
Not automatically?
Except for our end of year data that we have to provide, our beginning of the year data that we have to provide, such as enrollment numbers and such.
Not automatically, so does that mean that the state may request data? Student data?
Not a specific student data point. However, we are obligated to demonstrate achievement, and right now that's based specifically on the state assessment.
But anything besides the state assessment?
Correct. We're not required to submit.
But will the state ask for it?
I can't answer that, Mr. Brown.
They may, in other words. So then to go back to so what are we doing to protect student data? Because I don't believe student data should be shared with anybody. And if the state asks for additional data, we should not give it to them.
As I stated in the last meeting, we will work specifically within the law as to what's provided for student data. And as I said, we're going to follow that to a T.
Well, I hope we're not sharing any data that doesn't need to be shared, and that we need to protect student data. Dawn?
I think that that the administration knows how this board feels about information being shared. I think it's also the board's responsibility to go to the policy committee and design a specific rubric, if you care, to say that the administration will know clearly how we stand on that, and we need to follow the law in regards to that.
Well,
And so in doing that, if we set a policy up so they know these are the things that we are going to choose not to automatically share, then our administration is going to know that they need to come to us. If they're asked to share something different, they're going to have to come to us and say, this is why we've been asked to share this information, and do we have, and can we share it? Is that not what we are intending to do? Because that's
Correct.
how I intended it to go.
Correct. It was bounced to the policy subcommittee to develop a policy around student data. And the request was to draft that based on RSA language.
as long as it's protected, and we shouldn't just, if the state asks for student data, we shouldn't just automatically hand it over to them. We need to protect student data, period.
In your opinion, we might not all share the same opinion on exactly what details can be shared and what details can't. So, in your opinion, you don't believe, but we might all have different opinions.
Well,
Is there a chance to get the parents' opinions involved in our policy-making process?
yeah, because I wonder how the parents would feel about their children's data being shared. For example, what is it, kindergarten, we want to do an autobiography, or is it first grade?
First grade.
Whichever. Either, whether it's kindergarten or first, I thought it was kindergarten, but even if first grade. What is a first grader going to be able to write for an autobiography?
I actually thought that was amazing, that they were going to be able to do that, to be able to say, this is the color of my hair, this is my eyes, this is my personality.
But I wasn't finished. What does a first grader know? They only know really, what's that, first grade, you're talking about what, 5, 6 years old? What do they know? Home life. And they're clearly data mining home life. I have a problem, a real problem with that. Well,
It sounds to me like they're gonna get, if it's a first grader, they're gonna get input from their parents for their biography.
but some of the questions that is being asked, the questions that on the state assessments, they are asking specific questions about home life. I have a problem with that.
Mr. Brown?
Fine.
I haven't seen a test. I haven't seen a state assessment. I guess there's so much gossip and rigmarole going on. Is there a way to get a copy of this so the 5 of us or the 12 of us can take a peek at it?
No, they've set out, a state assessment, they don't provide the full assessment. They provide basically question items that are available, that could possibly be in it. Those are available, however, they're not going to provide the entire assessment, for review because it's a test. And I just want to make a point on, I believe that we're off topic with the professional growth plan. We have staff here that are presenting, and if we need to discuss the data piece in greater detail, I feel that we should close the professional growth plan topic and allow our staff to have a seat or head home.
Data collection isn't part of the, it's section 2 of the professional growth plan.
That's correct, but again, you're talking about a larger issue that you've brought up that I don't feel that is part of this presentation that our staff needs to stay here and answer to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. We're going to do accountability 3.0. Mr. Terzi, you don't have time, man?
Yep, I do. So in your packet on page, I believe it starts on page 41, you'll see if I'm asked to provide a report or if I'm going to provide a report to the board. I like to do what's known as a background sheet. And I just want to go over this sheet with you. You always have a title as to what the topic is. And the date is off on this because it was tabled at the last meeting and the intent was to go to May 21st, so this is the same document. You'll also see on my background sheet if I'm looking for action on a specific item or it's information only. So you'll know as a board member coming in that I might be asking for a vote on the information that's provided in the packet, or it's for information only and just for discussion. So you'll have an understanding as to what my intent is for providing this information. Is there questions on that, so you have an idea? And then I'll give you a description of whatever documents I provided, or just a description of what I'm going to discuss. Any fiscal implications, so what's that going to cost the district, and then what my recommendation would be. So if it's information only, you'll see that that's mostly non-applicable for the fiscal implications or recommendations. So that's a background sheet that you'll see. So in the background states that on May 5th I had an opportunity to attend a presentation at the New Hampshire Department of Education with a variety of educators throughout the state. There were superintendents, assistant superintendents, teachers, principals, just a wide variety of educators. And the intent of the presentation was to talk about the second submittal of a waiver to the ESEA law and what the state is thinking of moving in the direction for that waiver. We're currently in the second year of the first year of a 2-year waiver, and they're submitting another 2-year waiver in the fall of 2014, so it's September. And in that proposal, they're discussing different ways of looking at our current accountability system in the state. Where we currently have, if you flip it over to page 44, you'll see that the current design right now is to have all of our students in grades 3 through 8 and grade 11 take the Smarter Balanced Assessment. That's the current design. And that's similar to what we currently have for NECAP assessments. All students in grades 3 through 8 take NECAP. In grade 11, they take the NECAP assessment. Our current design, even within the waiver, states that all students in grades 3 through 8 and grade 11 will take Smarter Balanced. However, they're also proposing what are known as innovative models, where cohorts of districts can opt in. They actually have to apply for these 2 other options than what that current design states. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as I go through this.
Can I just ask what the
Sure.
ESEA stands for again? These acronyms are killing me.
The Early Secondary Education Act. I believe that's the acronym. Correct. So with the, if you look at page 42, they provided this as to why are they actually doing this. And I wanted to make sure that the board had this because, you know, usually when you look at a purpose of submitting a waiver, requesting something, well, why are you doing this? And what they're looking at is really the right drivers around accountability. What type of accountability system is going to give us the best information possible to provide support? We know that there's issues with No Child Left Behind. There's a sense that there's too much competition between districts throughout the state based on our current accountability system, because there's been a ranking system for years within the system, which we do not have currently. There's concerns with testing. They want to make sure that assessments are supportive of quality teaching and learning. They also felt that it's too much of a top-down approach that's been happening in the past, and they're looking to promote greater local control with flexibility around accountability. And again, it all wraps around greater emphasis on teaching and learning to ultimately lead towards deeper learning. So that's really their their ideas around why they're doing this. Any questions on that, the purpose? All right, you'll see that on page 43, it's sort of a timeline as to how things have worked out. We had early state accountability systems, and then we had what was known as Accountability 1.0 that was driven by No Child Left Behind. And then we had Accountability 2.0, which led to us requesting a waiver. We requested the first waiver, and now we're in waiver renewal, and they're proposing this Accountability 3.0 that really promotes a shift in teaching and learning towards personalization, competency, project-based, etc., the things that you've heard me speak about as well, and I'm happy that we're moving in that direction as a state. So if you look at the, go back to page 44, the innovative models. So basically you have three options as a district. You have the current design, which is smarter balance, 3 through 8 and grade 11. And then you also have another option, which is potentially testing students in high school based around the PSAT and the SAT. And then a third is what's known as performance-based assessment as an option. I believe that the performance-based assessment option is something that we can look at in the future as a district. We do not currently have our high school students attending a school in the district, so it would be up to either Spalding or Kingswood to opt into the second option of PSAT or SAT at the high school level. So really the only options we have in the future is the current design or the performance-based assessment option. Which jumps me to page 46, college and career readiness. Again, this is, you're looking at local measures all the way up through grade 8, and you're looking at what's called the college readiness suite, your SATs or your PSATs in grades 9, 10, and or grades 11 and 12. What I think we should be focusing on is on page 47, which is what's known as the PACE model, and this is based on performance assessments. And that's based on competency education, which I feel we should be moving as a district. And you'll see that we would assess students in basically grades 3 through 4, 8 and 9, 11 and or 12 on a state assessment, but we would use performance assessments in between. In any of the options, the board really needs to know this, that any of the options that we have in front of us, we're still required to assess students based on smarter balanced assessment in one of the grades in elementary, one of the grades in middle school, and one of the grades in high school. So that is still a part of any of the options because we're required to have a statewide assessment system. So regardless of all the options, we still will be participating in smarter balanced assessment or whatever assessment the state opts to utilize in the future, if it's a change. So right now, I'd like to, currently our only option is the current design. So we will be assessing our students grades 3 through 8 and grade 11 in smarter balance because that's the only option we have right now because we have not developed competencies in Wakefield, nor have we moved further enough along on performance assessments to even opt into this. And I also feel that we should see how this process works out and if the waiver is approved and some of the cohort groups are participating in these other options, see how that works and determine from there what our next steps will be. So I wanted to provide this information to the board just so you understand or have the information as to what's being provided to us as superintendents or educators throughout the state for some of the options for the next waiver.
Michael, could it just be that with something new there's always hype, pros and negatives in regards to the test, and once you take the test the first year, the staff is going to realize that it's not as evil as everyone says it is.
Yes.
What if it is?
And if it is, we're going to know. But if it's not, then we're also going to know.
Has the smarter balance been validated yet?
validated.
Validated. It's part of the the RSA that these assessments need to be validated before they're given.
I'm not sure what.
And
the
I think I
validation
forgot my
process is.
RSA number. It's 193C. It's under 193C. It's in that the assessments need, and that's required by RSA that they have to be validated before they're given. Mary.
I can talk to that a little bit. That's the reason why they did the pilot testing, is to validate and to actually take a look at how that rolled out. So we have not received the data yet back from Smarter Balanced, but we're expected to do so soon. So at that point, then we'll be able to tell you more.
It's my understanding that it's not going to be validated till at least 15, 16. So if it's not validated, by RSA, it has to be validated to give the test.
I'm sure they're looking at it at the DOE and
Yeah.
making sure that that happens. If it's an RSA, I'm sure they're looking at that.
And I also want to reiterate that this is the second waiver that's being put in for, again, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act in general, so that might not even get approved at this point. So I'm just want to be proactive in providing the board the information that's being provided to us as they move through this waiver process and what's being provided to us as superintendents and such.
I mean, after 20 years of No Child Dragged Behind, and after 20 years, the people are now admitting to the fact that there are issues with it. And here we are on page 42, we have 2, 3, 4, 6, 9 issues. And we haven't really even started it. This is the problem with experiments. Because what I'm afraid of, someone's going to be sitting here 20 years from now doing the same thing and saying, there's a problem, there's issues. These things need to be validated. You just can't pull an experiment out of the sky and just drop it on everyone, especially children. The process, to me, is flawed, because these things need to be vetted, they need to be validated. You can't just, I have a problem with experimenting on our children.
And I just want to comment, if I may, that I appreciate the direction that the state's moving in, looking at flexibility around accountability. I think it's great because they're looking at really personalizing the accountability system, providing options. So I'm pleased as the direction that the state's going when it comes to flexibility.
But there's not enough education. There's too much assessment and not enough educator. I'm not dealing with that.
Is it the fact that New Hampshire had just been recently rated first in the country as far as our education, academic achievement and stuff like that?
We're leading the pack when it comes to specifically around competency-based education, and we're getting well noted for that. And yes, we are. We have been for a few years now within the top 5 around student achievement.
Is it information that you could share with the school board where Wakefield is in the state? I mean,
we're not ranked. We do not rank anymore as a state.
I saw something in here about competition.
Mm-hmm. That was based
too
on
much competition, and is it possible to have too much competition? Really, when we're educating our kids?
If it's driving the decision making around education, I would say yes. We should look at an individualized, personalized approach to educating our students compared to competing with others.
So you're saying, what administration? I mean, the kids are driven to compete with each other in the classes and stuff like that, right? But there's a difference between that competition and what districts are doing to make it look better. Is that what you mean?
No, the concept of competing around education, to me, doesn't make sense, because we want to make sure that individual students are growing based on their abilities and their strengths and their weaknesses. And if there's a lot of competition, then you get this hierarchy of abilities, and we should be appreciating diversity around all abilities when it comes to students. So I feel that too much competition leads to a hierarchy, and I don't feel that's the direction we should be going when it comes to educating within a classroom, a school, or a district.
Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All set?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Shall we go back to the agenda?
There's another.
Probably?
I was just looking at part 9. I'm thinking maybe there's part 9 of the agenda, whether or not there's something else that Mr. Tracy had for under that.
You have your enrollment numbers in there, as I said, those requests for monthly enrollment numbers. Just provide that to you the first meeting of every month.
Still got one more residency form and Spalding that's missing?
Can you keep going out there and not getting the form?
Chase that one down, boss?
No.
No?
No, but,
Right. They saw you coming, they signed.
oh, I'm sure they fill out that residency form. That's what RF stands for. Or we'll find you gonna let Mr. Tracy go?
I'm sure he's gonna leave when he needs to leave.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to let you go.
but- Okay.
I just
What, UNH English?
What is it? I'm sorry.
UNH English?
Are you looking at the manifest?
It's a
Yeah,
large dollar amount.
Yeah.
Large dollar amount.
Yeah.
That was-
We
LTT problem?
Hmm?
Is that LTT?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it was a course being offered to multiple teachers here through UNH for credit. So I think we had, must have had probably 10 teachers participating in that. This talk here, Louisa Robleski, who's an instructor at UNH, came in, and I believe the focus was on grammar. So we had a number of teachers participating in that. They had one day a week. Every other week they would have a class. On the off week they weren't having a class. She would come and observe the classroom and they would observe her teaching. She would observe them teaching, and they'd go back to class the following week and discuss those exercises and make corrections and tips and pointers and be better language arts teachers. Good bang for the buck for the credits they got.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah.
I'd like to just hand these out before I have to go. We'll take one and pass it around. This is just a corrected version of the last sheet of your package, my packet for non-public.
These are what now?
It's a
What are
corrected.
they?
That should
Corrected?
replace the last sheet of your packet.
These are corrected ones?
The last name on that sheet. I'll wait till it goes around and I can explain it. Replaces page 51 on your packet. And the difference is in the last salary. From what was sent out in the packet.
Is it just some,
A review of credentials. Upon reviewing the credentials for next year, we looked and made an adjustment to what was in there originally. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Off to my daughter's concert.
Thank you, enjoy.
Thank you. Record it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think the photo recording.
Good night.
Mr. Brown, before you move on to the next next area, if I could, the 8th grade is respectfully requesting permission for them to take our 8th grade trips to their trip to Boston, their annual trip. By policy, we need board approval to go out of state, so I'm respectfully requesting permission for our 8th graders to go to Boston next Friday.
pretty much the same as last year and the year
Pretty much,
before?
yeah. Nothing, no changes, maybe some minute changes, but you know, where they're going, where they're eating, but same kind of trip, same time frame.
Chaperones, all that type of stuff is
Oh,
all
yes,
taken.
sir. Lots of chaperones.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the 8th grade going on a Boston field trip.
For a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Have
Do I
fun.
need to abstain?
Sure they will.
I don't think so.
No.
That's not really.
I can't. I'll vote in the affirmative.
Graduation. I don't want to be careful.
Thanks, Steve.
Welcome. Well, I haven't seen what the top few of the signs that, is it about? Pardon?
It's a small one.
Oh, okay, good. Seems like there's far less to sign, we usually have a lot more. Well, yeah.
We'll see what we can do at the next meeting.
All right, are we all, so, if everyone's all set, the manifest, no, there's a couple more, you know? You were hiding.
I didn't even give you those, so what do you mean?
Everybody will sell with the manifest, and have a motion to approve the manifest, please.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes of the last meeting.
Deb, can I just say that I'm not the chairman of this board, I'm the vice chair.
I'm sorry. I'll fix it. I was just questioning that myself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On both public and non, thank you.
Absolutely. Oops, sorry about that.
Just had you on my mind.
Anybody have anything? Motion to approve the minutes of May 21st, 2014, please.
As amended?
As amended.
I'll make the-
Right. So we probably have to do something else, so just we're doing what we can do in non-public now, we will, but. Anybody wanna make a motion to approve
I'll make a motion.
the May 21st, 2014
Yes, sir.
minutes, and is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So no reason why we can't do the non-public of May 21st, 2014? And if not, can I have a motion to approve the non-public minutes of May 21st, 2014?
I'll make that motion.
As amended, right?
As amended.
As amended.
I'll second it.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment? Seeing none? Correspondence? Our correspondence man left. Boy.
Can I just ask, we got like the Paul, is that what it's called?
The Wakefield Weekly?
Yeah, we got that like one meeting, but we never got it
You
again.
you'll get it, you're gonna get it when I do my, when I do my admin report, which will be the next meeting.
Do they come out bi-weekly,
They
weekly?
come out weekly?
Can we just make sure we get them all?
You want
I
it
just
weekly?
want to see them and I don't have
You want it
kids in
weekly?
the-
I mean, or you want every
If you just
meeting?
put them in so that we can just see what's going on, because, I don't know, I guess if there's things that we're not necessarily told because it's
Yep.
an off week.
Yeah, that's my fault. I had made the decision to do it during my admin report so I could speak to them, but I
Yeah.
certainly can.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, thanks.
That was-
What did the, you still on correspondence?
Yeah, I had, but I had a few, someone sent me a few questions, but Mr. Tercey is gone, so, probably should wait till next meeting, till he's back.
So we have correspondence for next meeting, you want to put it on the agenda?
It always is.
I can, why, what did you have, Mr. Vog?
No, I was just looking at the schedule. I was on to the next item on the agenda. Sorry about that.
Oh, all right. Yes, school board summer, schedule.
How come we have no dates for July or August?
Because we set them.
We set 'em. And they're probably gonna be opposite of Milton's.
So it'd be the 2nd and the 16th?
Milton's only having one
Yeah,
meeting
we
in July.
usually have one meeting in July and one in August.
Isn't there gonna be some expenditures happening at that time?
Mhm.
But that's just normal.
But they'll be able to come to us at the June meeting with all of them. They should be prepared and outlined by then. If they're gonna start at end of June, they should be prepared by the first June meeting or the second June meeting. And then July and August is
I
more
think,
restructuring, right?
I think the 16th would be better than the, July 16th would be better than the 2nd.
I won't be available on the 16th.
I think July 2nd would be better than the 16th.
My next job is retirement.
This is the 9th, which is a Wednesday.
And Andrew can't make it the 16th.
So why don't we do?
You can make it the 2nd, right?
You know what? That's our busiest week in the campground. I can't do that. I have 300 or 400 people there.
Yeah, that's Wednesday though, it's not a
Honey,
weekend.
it's the first 2 weeks in July.
I just wanna be difficult.
You can be difficult, but I'm gonna say no. If you guys wanna hold the meeting, I just won't be there.
How about you wanna do it the is the 23rd too late?
That's a,
On
that's a
February
no.
23rd either, I'll be gone.
Are you just gone on
Are you-
holiday,
Well, you
Andrew?
just taking the summer off, or?
Well, he's got vacation time you're using in July. That's
Sure.
good. So if you're not available, who can stand in for you? Will Michael be able to get the information that we need as long as we
Yeah.
get the questions in time?
So,
It's been done before.
Are you gonna be gone on the 9th too?
No,
It's not,
Okay.
it's-
are you taking those 2 weeks off or something?
the last 2 weeks of July I'm taking off.
Good for you.
Well, wait a minute, the last,
I'm leaving on the 15th and not coming back until the 28th.
okay, yeah, because there is kind of a last week, the 28th through the 1st is technically the last week of July.
Well, why don't we schedule to do it on the 16th, and if we can have all of our questions to you before you leave, if you're leaving on the 15th, if we make sure we have our questions to you by July 1st, you can have all the answers,
Yeah.
right? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Does that sound okay with you?
Well, you're leaving the 15th, would it be possible for you to maybe send it out before then?
Or go out
with the packet.
with the packet on Thursday or Friday.
But I won't,
What are you
know,
looking
just-
for him to send out?
Well, I just figured if he send out the information and then we had time, then people had time to look it over, you might be able to get the answers answered before he leaves. That's all, but, it'll give you a day or two maybe to get your package on time. So,
I could email the board the expense report, maybe the week before,
Why don't you do that?
and then it'll be part of the packet as well. So you have a chance to look at the expense report if you have any questions.
all right, so July 16th, sound like a plan to everybody?
Do you have vacation in August too, Andrew?
No,
Does Michael have vacation in August?
I really don't know.
You don't know. Do you have vacation in August?
No. at
Do you
this
know if Michael
point.
does?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I
So-
would say why don't we do the 20th then? Because that's basically a month apart. And it's getting ready, geared up for school. You think what the 20th?
That's fine with me.
Works for me.
Hello?
I might be heading somewhere that day, but it don't matter.
20th it is.
Do we need to make a motion to accept this on the calendar?
I don't believe so, it's just basically, consensus that,
Can you just, well, he'll know in the minutes, but can you just let Michael know that we chose July 16th and August 20th?
Sure will.
financial reports. Anybody have any questions for Andrew?
At the last board meeting, Steve, you had asked a question about facilities, the contract services line, because there was over budget.
Yep.
That's for the individual who's covering for the custodian who's out on medical leave. If you recall, the board voted to allow us to use the employment agency to hire him. That's what that number represents, is in the employment agency. So it's probably higher now than it was last meeting because he's been working.
Andrew, can I just ask a generic question in regards to the budget? During budget season, we try to be so concise on how we budget monies and all of that, and I understand that it's a bottom line budget, but how accountable do you hold the different accounts and descriptions to being on target? Because I'm not a big fan of, well, there's money left somewhere else so we can use that and overspend here, because I really don't approve of that type of budget. It's like if you budget it, that's what you should have. Don't go over because you don't have it. It's kind of like...
No, what we do is when they go over in the budget line item, it has to be approved before it'll go through. And we question why is it going over budget. One of the good examples is professional development, because it's in the teacher's contract. We'll push those through, but if there's a line item, they absolutely need that item, they have to tell me whether the line item are they going to underspend to make up for that difference.
But do you see, like, in the budgetary process where I just find that awkward, because they should be budgeting for that?
Well, expenses and things come up during the year, you don't know about it. You gotta realize you're doing the budget almost a year before school starts.
I understand that, but I guess I want to make sure that what the money is being spent on, or if there's leftover money, I don't want them just like having free reign to go and spend it if there's money left in a line. Even if it's like left in a grant. I would not approve of that.
Well, we monitor when it goes over budget.
Okay. So if these lines are over budget, you've already spoken with that department and they're gonna try and fix the budget to accommodate the right numbers next year?
Right, that's why we did away with, I don't know if you know, in the past they used to move budget numbers around so the line wouldn't be over budget.
Yeah, I think that might not be as transparent as I would like things to be when it comes to the money.
Well, that's why I didn't do that anymore, because I wanted to see how much is actually being spent in that line.
Okay, I'm just asking, because it's like I'm looking at the budget and there's so many lines that are over, and there's some that are under too, don't get me wrong. But I guess I want to know the real nitty gritty and see all the transparency at the end of the year. I just didn't want anything shuffled around before we got the exact numbers down.
The budget stays where it was originally set.
Okay, and then at the end, we're going to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and have to go from there. Okay.
And you'll see that on your budget worksheets. You'll see what the previous month was, or year, and that way they know how they can kind of look what did we spend last year and get a better handle on the budget. And
I guess my concern is that, say they've overspent, but you go to budget next year, just because they weren't as cautious budgeting doesn't mean that we should give them that amount of money next year. Maybe it's that we say tighten your purse strings and don't spend that money. Is that a bad thing to say? But that's what it would be like at my house.
That's why when they do the budget, we ask them to give us an explanation of what they're putting into the line items, so we can see if there's something there that shouldn't be there or that we don't want to have to go through for the following year.
Okay.
And on Monday, we had an admin meeting. We told the staff that we were going to be a little bit more stringent on the budget this year.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, I heard that message.
Any other questions on the expense report? Any questions?
When do we get the money for adequate education grant and the state education tax? Because that's like $2,210,000 or over.
The state education tax is really part of your current appropriation. What I'll be doing this month is moving that money out of the state appropriation into the state education tax. So you won't be over. Adequate aid has been already given to us, and I have this call into the state. Because on the tax report, they told me it was gonna be $1,077,000. So I'm waiting to hear back from the state why we got, because both Milton and Wakefield got less than they had told me we were gonna get.
And that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're looking into that, why we got less than what they already told us we were getting.
Will you please do me the favor of keeping track of those two and let us know next meeting where you stand on those?
Yep.
Thank you. Do you see what I'm asking? On this back page, it's these two that equal like 2,500,000 together.
Any other questions on the reports? You've got the April Cafe Services financial statement in there. We have the bank reconciliation for March. And the treasurer's report for February, March, so we've got 2 months in there. Nate Fogg, this is not on my list, but I just want to run by you. Nate Fogg gave me a call about combining the lots, the new lot and the school lot. He explained to me that the ball field is also a separate lot. You want to know if we want to do all...
Out there?
Yeah, if we want to combine all 3 of them as one lot.
It's all tax exempt, right?
Right, but it will be just, all it will show the whole school instead of being broken up into...
Oh, yeah?
This ball field is shown as a separate lot.
Right out here next to the building?
Yeah.
Is there a process that would cost money to do lot line adjustments and stuff like that? Or, I mean...
It was a real small nominal fee to do for the parking lot, the new both the parking lot and for the current school lot. It didn't sound like he was going to charge us more to include the ball field. He just wanted to know before he set it up if we wanted to include the ball field as one lot.
Is it a necessary expense, I guess is my question.
I guess what I'm wondering is, are they separate, not this one, but is that portion of property separate because maybe we had a benefactor that helped purchase it, or was it kept in that, I mean, is there stipulations in the deed that it stays a separate parcel? I think you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, say someone donated half of the land out of the acreage that they had back there, like, I don't know who owned it, but, you know, I don't know which family owned it or who owned it, but maybe it's in the deed stipulations that it stays on a separate parcel or something. I would just want to read the deed over to make sure that we weren't going against anything that, any of the wishes.
I'll check into that.
Well, there's no benefits to put together.
There's an expense at putting them together, but is there a benefit? I mean, it's all tax exempt.
Right.
The school district owns it.
Well, I mean, what you're saying is right, whether it's 2 separate lots or one whole lot, doesn't make a difference because it's tax exempt. It just shows when you look at it in the deed, in the tax book, it shows all the school land as being one instead of having to go to different pages to see each section of the land.
But aren't there public hearings and, you know, I mean, would it end up in front of the ZBA where they have to decide it?
It's gonna go to the ZBA, we have to go to the ZBA.
And if it's not necessary, why are the taxpayers even having to bear that burden?
I think if it's all under the district, if it's all under Wakefield School, I don't necessarily know if I think it's a big deal to make them all one lot. Do you?
It was the board's decision last year to combine the new lot and the current school lot.
It was our decision to combine them?
It was,
Or the old board?
I believe it was prior to the new board coming on.
Did they say why?
I don't recall any reason why, just,
It makes it look cleaner, but that's the only benefit.
I mean, the
Well, it might
cost
be-
of doing it was only like $15 or $20. It wasn't an exorbitant amount of money to combine the lot.
They don't demand a survey and things like that? I mean, the
No.
town doesn't say...
Well,
Just
it might
an
be
application we gotta
it
fill
might
out.
be one of those, it might be one of those waived existing?
Actually, I brought it to the board probably in the early fall, because they needed it in the minutes that the board approved. And the board did approve to combine the parking lot land and the current school lot. That's why it prompted Nate to call me to find out that we want to add the ball field to that.
If it's only $15 or $20, maybe, I don't,
Just have Nate waive the $15 to $20.
yeah. Ask him if he'll waive the fee.
Well, it's already been paid.
Oh. Well, if the fee's
So-
already been paid, the application's already been done, why not just do the whole shebang and have it on one thing?
Is there an additional cost to add the additional lot in?
It didn't sound like it to me. He just wanted to know before he finalized it if we wanted to add, if there's additional cost, I'll find out and let you know at the next meeting.
If there's no additional cost, why not? But,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not necessary, why? So, I don't care which way we go on this.
All right, everybody else set with Andrew?
I have the bids for the refrigerator for the cafeteria.
List?
The walk-in or the chest?
For the walk-in size, the reach and the to replace.
Just asking, I didn't know if something broke down. I know which one doesn't work because my water was warm.
You never know.
Thank you.
Is it non-repairable?
Yeah, we've had it checked, it's broken down several times and they're telling us it's not worth fixing anymore. There is $5,000 in the replacement equipment line on the food service budget.
Yeah, but we don't want to do that loan through them though. That's
So it's nothing to do with cafe
0%.
service. This is what we budgeted in our financial statement. You'll see $5,000 in the food service, replacement equipment.
What line is that, Andrew?
It's near the bottom of the last page.
How big is this thing?
Have you been in the kitchen lately?
Yeah, but I just can't recall
It's probably 6 feet. 3 and 3 because it holds a
Probably
3-foot tray.
It's been a while since I've been in there. It's been broken almost since I've been here.
I'm thinking
the,
it's
is it one of the ones with
It's
the
a small
slanted,
walk-in.
no, like if
slanted
you,
top? And
no.
then you roll the, you open the door?
nope, if you walk straight in and you're gonna go out the old door, out the back door,
Well,
it's the big chest refrigerator that's right there.
It's big. I mean, it's
It's what, 3 by 6?
something like it's
Is it a fridge or a freezer?
It's a fridge. Because I'm thinking it holds you can put a tray in there, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be at least 3 feet on each side.
Yeah,
Is it,
And the trays are 2.5 feet deep, so
something like that.
is
Yeah.
it necessary to have now?
are they in need of it?
Yeah, I mean, they're always scrambling. They've been without it.
The refrigerator's always.
I think it's been out since we brought in
It gets
Cafe
before
services
we brought in
just-
cafe services.
Yeah, it broke down that
That's how
summer.
they-
Yeah.
That's why they had offered the equipment. you know,
I think it was a
finance.
standard. I think it's a standard, but
Is
Well,
there,
my next question would be what's the difference between the two models other than $1,800? You know, I mean, one could be a commercial unit for, you know.
Wanna see a picture?
They're all commercial units.
But, okay, but I mean, one could, you know, one could be better than the other one. You know, what's the difference between the two? You know, sometimes you might be better off buying a better model than,
Oh, you read that.
pardon me?
yeah.
So you read what I was saying.
So it's restaurant grade.
What's that?
They're restaurant grade. That's what it looks like. I got it online, Andrew, for $200 less than what your bids are.
No, $80.
$80. Free shipping too, Andrew.
Free shipping.
Same thing.
How much is it
Keep
online?
searching, you'll find it less. than
I
that.
know. I can find a coupon code.
3120. $80.
Which,
Andrew, you just wait. It's called centralrestaurant.com. I'm gonna get your coupon. Oh, let's go into clearance. We'll see what's out there.
Let's get it for free pretty soon.
Donations.
So, we're looking,
But then you have the other one, you know.
You want to see what the other one looks like? Yeah, it is. The doors are just open.
Yeah, for $33.75.
From the bottom one?
Free shipping?
Yep.
Free shipping.
Hold on a second. Let's check the engines and see what. Did you already check to see which engine was better?
No, I didn't. Most of the schools that cafe services and they've been replacing the refrigerators with this turbo air model.
3-year parts and labor and 5-year on the compressor.
Okay.
On the Trolson.
And we'll go to this one again.
Who provides, we'll just have a regular service provider? Right? Would we get service through either one of these quotes?
I think
Both
that's
of
the
them.
I think that was the warranty.
I'm just wondering who would provide that service. I know that
What do you mean? What's
if something broke down.
if something broke
which
down,
contractor would come in and
would
fix
we
it?
gain something by having a local contractor to provide that service?
They actually have the same amount of. They have the same size engine in them.
What's the warranty on it?
The price of the quotes are probably a little bit higher than what you see online because they come in and install it as well. It includes delivery and installation.
What's installation? You plug it in. Why do you need to pay installation? That's ridiculous. Have Joe go down and pick it up. That's
Especially,
crazy.
there was
shipping.
that,
I know. Have them back it right up to the door and put it in.
Better.
There's no installation. It plugs into a 120 outlet, Andrew. Don't let
Yeah.
them get you on that.
and that's what, 3,300, 33.75 the other one
Is
was?
there an ice maker?
No, an ice maker. Well, it should have one, the ice maker. Maybe that's. Does the ice maker work in there anymore?
What ice maker?
If you go into the cafeteria and you go down the line, if you go in back of the training, if you go all the way down, there's like a box with a slanted brown shelf.
Yeah, yeah.
That's an ice maker.
That was an ice maker?
Yeah, it's not working.
I don't know. I've never seen it in operation. I can't say that it does or
They're
does
both
not work.
49 cubic feet.
But the other one, the Trolson was 3,300, and it's 5,000 here.
Yeah.
Free shipping too.
Radiation.
3,300 bucks.
So I'm gonna shoot you this link, Andrew.
Yeah.
1,700 bucks less for the same unit.
Well, if you're doing comparison to comparison, they both look the same. They both have the same engine. They both have the same wattage and everything.
Well, it's not an engine, it's a compressor.
It's a compressor.
Give her some gas.
And really, Andrew, don't tell them that they need to. Don't let them do installation because it's just a plug. And scrap that other one out. Don't throw that in a dumpster. That's good scrap metal.
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
I know. I'm sorry. Really, you gotta look at everything because you could get probably a couple $100 back from that and cover some of the cost of it.
Well, we can look at the.
Are you shaking your head at me?
Did you find with the other one? So we could,
Is there a preference for the board which one to go with?
This one's smaller.
46.
I would go with this one, but I would go with this one, but I would go with that website and pay that price. And look for a coupon.
Which model are you talking about, Bonnie?
The Turbo Air Model TSR 49SD.
All right, if you send me the website, I'll get a price from both these companies without installation and see if it.
And you can call this company. You can go to this people too, because if they're gonna drop it right in the backyard for free, you need a dolly.
Just probably put it right in.
They'll probably put it right in. So.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll loan you my dolly for free. Just to make it happen.
So the board's okay with this going, I mean, it's not, I don't think you have to vote on it because it's not the $5,000, it's under the $5,000 limit.
Mm-hmm.
Was the total on that one?
No, that's, this one is the, it's $3,119.29. $80 is $80.
Oh, not quite 80, but almost 80. Like 78, 77. Oh.
Use your fingers, Steve.
Andrew, I'm looking at model number 894035.
But it is the same manufacturer part number.
Yep.
What's the model number again, I'm sorry?
It's, well, it's got two, actually. It's got a manufacturer part number, which is the same number you have, TSR 49SD. And then it has a model number of 894035.
Double door, commercial food refrigerator, doesn't have to be those guys.
Go on.
You know, so, oh, did you,
Same thing,
Andrew, I got another one from a different company for $23.94.51.
that's all.
That's over $1,000. That's almost $1,000. Well, all right. Now that he knows, Andrew, just hunt for the best price, okay?
I'm sorry?
Just hunt for the best price. I'm sending you a couple links.
Okay, thank you.
I like Patty's better.
Yep.
we're not gonna decide on that now.
Well, no, we can make a motion for him to get one and not spend more than that. Yeah, it is.
What is it? Commercial. One-year-old parts, the other one equals 3 years.
Both these quotes are 3 years parts and labor and 2 years additional for the compressor.
So 5 on the compressor.
5
5 on the compressor, 3 parts and labor.
Parts and labor, yeah. Winches.
Actually, sorry, I probably shouldn't be researching this. We can do it at a different time. Andrew, I'll send you a whole bunch of links that you can look at, okay?
Okay.
And they all have free shipping on them.
Enrollment.
We already discussed that. We already discussed
You
it.
want me to go ahead and do it, or?
Can you look at some of those sites first and really try and because there's 3 or 4 different models. There's a model here that has the same type of compressor and everything, and it but Andrew, it's is $2,000. So I'm wondering if like they're telling you the name brand that they carry, but maybe we should go beyond that and kind of research different brands that might be more, you know, just as the ratings are good on them, they're just,
Free shipping?
yeah, this one has free shipping.
Okay.
And the warranties are the same.
Well, except that last one only had a year on the parts.
Mm. But look at them and just,
5 years on the compressor, but the other ones were 3 years.
Yeah.
Not worth $1,000.
No, I would, $1,000, no.
We'll go back to the next meeting then.
You would, Sarah? Anybody have any questions on the enrollment?
Just as far as the numbers, the total numbers, if we're able now to send 10% off to a different school besides Spalding, it'd be 16 and a half kids. So this, next year there's 2 of them. So
Yeah, I get 50.
you
Well-
can send 10% of the 8th grade class.
right, but if these numbers were next year's enrollment, that's 165 total in the high school. So is that 10% being 16?
You don't go by the high school enrollment, you go by the 8th grade enrollment. You can send 10% of your class going.
Right. No, but they're changing that to 10% of the total.
But they're not changing it until next March when they vote, so it's really, it's not gonna help us in the fall right now, is it?
No, I was just trying to.
No, this will actually take place next year.
I guess the question I had is if you look at 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then our senior rate drops down to 26. We go from 46 to 39 to 21 to 26. Do we have a lot of dropouts?
Nothing I'm aware of. I don't know what the numbers are, but we can find that out.
Because that's like a staggering number
Mhm.
to drop that much. I mean, maybe it was just a small year, but I remember going up through 8th grade. I mean, the kids that lived in Wakefield, they still had the 3 classes. They still had 3 classes of 20-something,
So Bonnie, is your question, why are our numbers
Yeah, I guess
26 for
I'm
12th grade?
questioning why we only have 26 12th graders, and is it because they're doing alternative education, or is Bud Carlson and the alt included in these numbers?
They should be.
They should be, right? I just think that number's, I guess I'm concerned. I want to make sure that we're not having a high dropout rate. I mean, people move, but,
Find out.
okay, thanks.
You got the committee list? So you all set on that? Cafe services contract.
We just received the new contract. Bob and I have met with Lino. He was a gentleman. He gave us a few ideas on things he thought that we should be looking for from cafe services. He also gave us an idea of things to ask at the upcoming meeting that is going to be on the 18th at 4 o'clock. I think we're still unsure.
We have a list of questions that we want answered to us. Other options as far as other services, our own in-house, as a few years ago, possible. Still a lot of questions though to ask to see where we're going to go with this.
We might have to come before you all and ask for an extension on the contract, ask them if we can have an extension, because it's June 30th that we have to sign the contract by. We're hoping that, have you clarified with the state, Andrew, that we have to go to bid if we're gonna ask other companies to come in?
Yes.
That would sound
That's good.
right. Sounds right.
Okay.
What's the pricing on it? Is it the same?
Hold on
Well,
just a second.
more.
Does it,
If I remember correctly, they're guaranteeing us that our deficit will only be $2,000.
So we're gonna lose $2,000 next year, right?
Right.
And this year, what was it?
I think it was in the same ballpark around, I don't have this year's contract, but I think it was about the same.
I had it somewhere in here. Net loss to district, no, net cost return to the district. We're gonna lose $4,165 this year. And the year before was,
A $700 and something profit.
but you have to take that and then also into consideration the monies that we don't recoup from the parents that don't pay,
which we don't know that number
and
though.
we don't know that number yet. And so I guess, just so that you know, some of the questions that we have is, what is the insurance that we're paying? You know, are we covered under the school's liability, or do they have their own private liability?
What the license fee is.
The license fee, because I guess in doing a little research and discussions, the state licenses cafeterias for free, so I don't know what license we're paying. And then computer systems, we're paying $1,400 every year for the computer system, and then $550 for advertising and promotion. But I don't know if I've ever seen advertising and promotion from the cafeteria. So those are things we have, and then
Promo.
the promos, yeah, the promos is $550, and then I'm assuming the administrative service fee of $11,500 is where they make their money.
Right.
And I had been looking at the contract, and some of the questions I had were, is your office responsible for putting in all of the state paperwork? Like for the free and reduced lunch?
Right, because they're a third party, they give us the information, but we submit it into the system, into the
Okay.
state system.
But I guess what I'm asking is, do you cross-check through Ruth's numbers, or I don't want to say any specific names, I'm sorry. Do you cross-check with Cafe Services to confirm that the number that you're doing with the state matches their number on your count?
Are you talking about the free and reduced applications or the actual?
The meals themselves? Like every week, does she calculate how many free and reduced meals go through?
And a report is sent, a monthly report is sent to Kathleen, who then in turn.
And then you in turn do your paperwork for the state?
Right.
So there's no chance of Cafe Services billing for more than what we do?
No.
Okay. And does it, hold on just a second. Andrew, I guess as you being our advisor, how can we offer lunches? And their contract is $167,225 last year, and they've gone down to $158,909 for this coming year. Have they just gotten so efficient that they can drop it by $9,000? Or
I believe the enrollment dropped too, didn't it? Based on the number of kids that are eating lunch.
Which is dropping off, you're saying, basically?
Enrollment, so they're gonna reduce they're gonna be feeding those kids.
okay. Are there any other differences in the contracts you've seen between the past 2 years and this one?
Well, last year and this year are pretty much the same contract, just the dates have changed.
And do we do an independent audit of Cafe Services every year?
I get all the bills that they submitted to verify against their expense report.
You do? Okay. Question answered then. And then we were given a recommendation, and I guess this is how I thought it was kind of an ingenious kind of way to always kind of check up on everybody, like dropping in on a babysitter when they don't expect you to go in really gives you an idea of how good of a babysitter they are. So we were told to give a voucher to community members or staff or a child or a board member or administration with like a little survey card on the back of it, and have one person every day of the school year come in and have lunch and tell us what they think.
That would be, that's the school's right to do that.
But I just think maybe that would be a way to kind of get an outside opinion. You know, if the cafeteria is doing the best that they can, and they just never know who's going to come in. It could be one of us. It could be a grandparent, and maybe that's just a way to see which recipes are good and which recipes aren't good.
We put that in place starting in September.
Mm-hmm.
And this is if we go with anybody, or any, even if we do it on our own.
Yeah.
We still the same thing.
We thought the idea was
right, yeah.
a really good way to get feedback from a variety of people.
It's making me hungry.
We might pick you rough.
Well, some parents might enjoy it. Get to come in and have lunch, or a grandparent, or an aunt, or an uncle, and it would be beneficial to us and to you.
And there's no more vending machines in the building, right? At all?
There are vending machines. They are not in the cafeteria. We do have a vending machine for the teachers in the teachers' room.
So that's what this could be.
So, I guess on the spreadsheet for cafe services, it says vending machines. Where are we looking? Yeah. If it says vending, what is that? Where do those monies come from?
We did have a vending machine, but it wasn't through cafe services. It was through a company, and we did away with that last year.
2020.
It says 2014 on your report you sent us, Andrew. It says vending, $2,28. So what vending is that?
It might be the water. Actually, there's water. I think there's water.
The water machine outside
I'm not sure if cafe services fills that. Maybe I have to double check. And we also, we have the water machine out in the hallway for kids.
Well, I guess we were just thought it was odd that cafe services would be in charge of vending of soda. That didn't seem right.
It's not soda. It's just water.
Or water.
Yeah, I'm just.
So they are?
Not the one we had. Not the one that we have.
Can you confirm what the vending line includes in your paperwork that you send to us monthly?
How much is on that?
$2,028. So that money should be somewhere.
It's not over in the hallway for sure.
That's a lot of water too.
That's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water.
That means you've got a company coming in here and filling that quite often.
That's year to date.
We have nobody coming in to fill our vending machines. We have a company. For Joe, we have a company. Must be Pet and Coke that comes in and brings in the Dasani.
You make $2,000 in there a year?
I'd have to take a look at what we have for income on that. I'm not quite sure exactly what that is. But that money there goes into a student activity account. That doesn't go into. That wouldn't be noted on cafe services for our machine anyway, even on our income.
So
it's
can
a
you
revenue.
just check that line for us?
I will.
Perfect. So that's what we have. We're meeting on the 18th to just go over the questions that we have on the contract. And do we want to ask to go over the bid?
Well, that's what I was just gonna ask.
First of all, I didn't know what we had to until Andrew got back to us. I don't know, do we want to do that? I mean, is there others? I sent you two companies, and one of them was on it, but one wasn't.
Chartwell is who does Rochester.
They wouldn't.
They're not going to look at us?
We went out and bid 2 years ago. We had, like I think I was telling you, we had a mandatory meeting. 3 companies showed up and only 2 bid. And one of the bidders is more of a caterer type of thing than a come in here and cook type of situation.
How about like earmark? Is it earmark?
Aramark.
Earmark?
They all had opportunity because it was, it was advertised in the paper, and like I said, no one with Cafe Services and Abbey Group did the bidding, and the Abbey Group is from Vermont.
Are we just too small of an account to draw
I
in
think
a big
that's
one?
the distance and from where the companies are located. I checked with nutrition and food service at the state, and believe it or not, Cafe Service has about 95% of the contracts in the state of New Hampshire.
I didn't know that. Well, maybe we just have to be a little more firm on it, and we just have to be more vigilant.
One of the vendors of another, I want to mention name, one of the directors of another food service at a high school in the area, he told me that they still have a lot of food waste. Not as much as they did, because it took them 2 years to see what the kids liked and how they could fix it so they would eat it. But he said the first couple of years there was a lot of waste.
I wonder if, I think what I talked to Bob about is that Cafe Services say that they get the order for the same amount of meals, but they never measure waste. So that tells me to judge what the kids are eating and what they're not eating and the recipes that they're going to genuinely eat and not eat. You have clear trash cans with a clear trash bag and a scale and make a science experiment out of it. I wonder if like one of the teachers would volunteer to maybe you do it 1 month or rotate around. But if you measure the waste, you're going to see what the kids eat and what they don't eat. And if it's in a clear bag, they're all going to see what they eat and don't eat. And maybe we could strive to be like a zero waste school. And if you strive to be a zero waste school, that means you give the recipes that they like the best and see how it goes. And maybe we could also do that. There's some teachers in here. Is that bizarre for me to think would be a good method? No. But you wouldn't be real happy about weighing rubbish, right, for a week? Well, really and truly, if it's in a plastic bag and you have a scale, if it's in a clear bin and you reduce the amount of the trash can and then you have to have 2 kids put it up and on, you measure it, mark it down, and they're going to know what the waste was for the day.
Involve child labor laws.
Kids to put just their food in here and their other.
Well, we should be recycling. Schools doing that. But we should be recycling anyway, and we should be telling them not to be frivolous and to be vigilant about recycling and being green and zero waste.
But by and large, the trash would be the same every day, whether it was cartons or whatever. It would be the food that would be different because it'd be thrown away the same things every day.
That's right. If you just put the food.
Yeah. Even if you didn't,
Yeah.
you throw all the trash in.
Yeah.
The same amount of trash is going to go in every day. The only variable will be how much food is eaten, as opposed to they'll all be the same amount of milk cartons.
Or liquid.
I think if you put the same.
But it'll all be pretty much the same.
Okay.
I'm just saying. What I'm saying is the trash will be the same. The food is what will be different.
I think it's hard to measure the food that goes in with all the other stuff in it. So if you separated them, you would know better.
But your weights are going to be the same. Even if you didn't, the weights would be the same. I mean, your trash weight would be added to your food weight. The food weight would increase and decrease, so you'd be weighing the whole thing overall.
I mean, there's a big number to that because you got to determine how many people eat that particular day versus another day. I mean, it's a project to do. It might tell us something, but again, there's other questions besides that of the quality of food and why are they throwing it away, and then a couple other questions came up about if the kids wanted a second lunch, they were able to do that. Now we're told they're not able to do that. I think you asked the question if my son wanted 8 milks, could he have them?
And I said no. And that means I have to send him with 2 jugs of milk every day. And they had asked about Rochester school. Rochester meals cost about $5 a day.
It's actually $3.50. Shelby gets it.
Not the way my kids go through like the a la carte line.
So they can get what they want.
So they get a sub, an apple, 3 milks, and it's about $5 a day.
And we were actually told that we could increase our amount of what they get in different options if we charge more.
So those are all things that we're looking at.
We just, I think it was a couple of years ago when we raised the price for lunches here. It hasn't been raised in those 2 years or so. Before cafe services came in, the prices were raised.
I just don't think that there's a big difference in how the kids eat, like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and through high school. My kids all pretty much ate the same way during those really formative growing years.
Have you also looked into payment options?
The payment option, we have a payment option already online. Is it My School Bucks here too?
NutriKids.
NutriKids. So parents have an option to go on. If they choose not to utilize it, then we can't really do anything about that.
Is there a fee to it?
Yes.
It's like $1.99 per transaction, but it saves you sending a check or cash, and it's convenient. And they send you emails when you're low.
I wonder if we ate the fee, whether we would generate more people willing to pay.
I think what you're going to find with the people that pay
Okay.
will pay, and you're going to have the same problem with people who don't pay.
Has that actually been, have we notified parents of that payment option?
It's part of
Does it get sent home, something gets sent home? Or,
Not
you know,
weekly, it's, I'm not sure how often it's been sent home. Steve,
Policy's
but-
$10, I believe, right? 3 lunches?
Well, no, just to the
You're
new
talking about,
system.
you're talking about the NutriKids system.
Right, to be able to pay online.
I'm not sure how often it's.
But it does, it
It's been
has
sent
gone
out,
out
yeah,
in a few
absolutely.
times. Well,
Do we, is it not part of the procedure that we have a sponsor, a child or sponsor a family? I mean, is there any kind of a program or a policy that allows an outside party to maybe help a family or some students out with their payments?
I'm not aware of a policy that prohibits or promotes it.
No, but if like
It's a great idea.
on My School Bucks, you can, a grandparent or someone could log in and set up an account. If they just had the child's name and birthday and their student ID, and you can use it for lunch, you can use it for the bookstore, you can use it for sports athletics and things like that. It can be used all across the school. So if parents want to make, or grandparents, or an anonymous donation can be made, but you can't guarantee that it's going to go to the lunch unless you direct it directly to the lunch program.
Or NutriKids is just set up for the lunch programs.
Mhm.
If they put money on there, it's the only place it would go.
Yep.
So you can't think of anything that would prohibit a benefactor or?
No. I'm not aware of a policy either way.
Thank you.
all right, anything else on Cap A?
Not this time.
So we're going to hold off to the 18th to decide whether to sign your contract or not.
School board business?
I got an item for that.
You do?
Yeah, I'd like to ask our chair to be at the 8th grade graduation on the 20th. And we're handing out,
I heard you were already gonna be there.
no, you didn't hear that.
Yes, I did, I'm telling you.
Actually, those are things that we should have cleared up because one of us should be at all the graduations, including the alternative school in Bud Carlson.
The 11th or the 17th is
The
Bud Carlson.
The 17th.
The 13th, I've already RSVP'd to Angela that I will be there for the regular graduation.
I'll do the 17th.
What about the 8th grade, considering you have an 8th grader here already?
Absolutely not. I promised her I wouldn't. She's already, you know, I mean, I can only embarrass the child so many times in a school year. And this last night of her whole process is not, I can't do that to her. Promised her I wouldn't, and I'm going to keep that promise.
Okay, so what days do we need covered?
I think Mr. Brown can cover the 8th grade graduation.
You got the 17th?
I think 17th.
And when is Spalding regular?
The 13th. 6:30. The alt is, which one is, but the alt is the one that this is 17th. Do we know when Bud Carlson is?
Aren't they usually the same
That
night?
is,
No, they're
No?
not the same night. Let's see if we
I
can
think
find
it's a
out.
16th.
Jerry, could you add that to the list, please, to find out when?
I'm on right now.
You're looking? Beat me to it.
No. I don't know.
We'll get the dates for all the graduations. Will it be at Kingswood also?
We don't usually go to Kingswood,
No.
but we
So
do have more
we'll get the
students
date.
there.
We'll get the dates for all of our graduating students and where they're
I
at.
don't know if we've ever been invited, like, I've got an invitation to go to the 3 in Rochester. I don't know if I've ever received an invitation to attend it from Kingswood.
I don't recall from last year either, but.
Is that it, Mr. Fogg?
Well, that was the only thing that I had under that particular item on the
Right.
agenda.
Committee reports. We want to take care of the policy BGB first. If everybody's all set, I think that was just, we changed it back to 2 readings.
Do you want a motion?
Well, wait a minute, this is gonna be what, the first reading of that?
No, it would have been the
Second.
second. This would be the second reading. We read the last one last meeting.
Okay, yes. Motion to adopt BGB,
I'll make that motion.
give a second.
I'll second it.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
The other thing that I gave to Bonnie and Norma is, 2 items that we were presented with at the Facilities Committee. The first being some, forms and some painting that they wanna do in the, multipurpose room. The Facilities Committee to recommend this.
Stage pad.
Yeah, the padding in there,
It's all beat up, they need to
they're
replace
gonna
that.
replace the padding.
Like the padding on
On
the
the
walls?
second page, this is what it's actually layout of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the padding on the walls.
What line is this coming out of? Because it wasn't in the budget.
We did discuss that. It would probably be coming out of one of the facilities lines.
Can we check and see which one before we move forward?
Building maintenance. There's
Yeah, I looked at, line 2610, 52430 is the line that was
2610?
2610, 52430 is the line that they were looking at taking it out of.
That balance is 10,386.34. Is that right? Did I get?
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
It sounds a little under $10,000 right now.
What in that budget, why would we have budgeted such a large amount of money? We would have budgeted very close to what that would be. Why is there that amount of money left over in there? What didn't we purchase?
How much was the original one?
Didn't it have to do with the boiler repair? Or is that a separate?
Boiler repair was a warrant article, right?
It might be a separate capital reserve.
This one, 54, 230, you said?
52, 430.
52.
sure it's not 54,230?
It's 54,230.
54, okay.
Yeah,
This
so
is
there's,
what,
so there's 10,386.34. Andrew, what was in that? What haven't we done that we said we were gonna do?
Let's go through the budget lines and see what they did and what they didn't do.
Yeah, because what if they say, oh, let's take it out of this line, but some stuff has already been care of building and maintenance. Did they put like a buffer in there to updo a room, or wasn't there money in there for 2 classrooms? Were those 2 classrooms done already?
Yeah, we did the furniture.
Was it
That-
carpet and
that-
paint too?
I know the carpet's been done.
Uh-huh.
Carpet, you'll probably see that in the last.
Do you have
manifest.
your
I'm
budget?
just looking at the same thing you're looking at.
Do you have your budget that you would, now would you have done buildings, or would that have been Bob?
That would have come out of Bob, from Bob and Joe. I'm not sure, I mean, could make guesses
I
left
just
and right,
don't,
but
I just
couldn't
don't
tell you
think
for
that
sure.
we'd have a $10,000 gap in the budget like that.
I'll look into that.
Okay.
And there's, I mean, I see painting estimate is under the trigger for a bid process, but
Hmm?
on the last page, you have a bid for painting services. And
4895. Just under.
it's just under the trigger for the need for a competitive bidding process. Is that something we should ignore and ask for? I mean,
If it's under, we don't have to.
but should we anyway? I mean, what? I can only imagine vendors in the future coming in at $4,991 each and every time, eliminating the process of a bid.
Well, in speaking with Joe, how did he get this? Did he take it out, did he put it out to bid? Or did he, how do you ask for just one quote from one person?
This was a company that did the painting in the town hall.
That's right. Yes, it is.
And they had to come over and give them a quote on that.
I mean, we did the Opera House, right?
The Opera House,
yeah.
So they're gonna use, I guess Joe specified Sherwin-Williams paint,
Super
super
paint.
paint. It's a low VOC paint.
Mhm.
My only concern is, I mean, and again, it's under the trigger, but
But there's a reason that I think we have to trust Joe as our groundskeeper, kind of, a building keeper, in a way that he wouldn't put us in a situation that
I
it
have
would
that
be
trust
questioned.
I certainly have that trust in Joe, but then we have to have
I think if the estimates came in over $5,000, and he would have brought it to us and said it needed to go to bid. No?
it just
I'm
doesn't.
trying to think honest.
Well, and honestly, I'm thinking that this could happen on each and every item in the school building and never go out to bid again.
You want to look at the fact that the town used them, so they must not have did their bidding. If they were the best ones, why go through the same process again? The towns already did it.
And I did ask, which didn't really matter at the time, of how many gallons of paint basically would be used. Me being in this trade for many years, because I could figure out per gallon, $35, $40 a gallon, if it's worth even the price at all. So, but never got that.
You never got how many
Do
gallons?
you have
it
a
would
tape
take?
measure with it?
I could do square
We
footage.
could do square footage.
Well, on your way out, once you do the square footage, and then bring it back to us. All right, what do you wanna?
I love the idea, but I really want to know what else, I just really want to know what else is in that budget line that we haven't maybe done. And just make sure that we didn't propose it to the people as something and then not do it. Just make sure nothing's overlooked.
Is there a time deadline as far as Joe's position when this job has to be done? I mean,
Well, you would think it would be after school gets over, right?
right.
So,
You know, in order for it to come out of this budget, we just have to make sure that we,
If you want it to come out of that line this year, it has to be done, at least started by June 30th.
all right, so we could do this at the next meeting and still have time.
Well, if the vendor doesn't take on another job.
Well, that's not right, because that puts us under pressure to make decisions. I don't like that. Because
No,
if
I'm
the
not
vendor
saying
finds
that-
another job, we find another vendor. But I don't want to be put in a situation that we're spending money that we might not have to spend. That's not right. I don't want to be put in a position like that. Because you can always find someone else to paint.
When you put it out to bid, you can.
All right, people, what do you want to do? Let's put it off to the next meeting.
Table it to the next meeting.
Look at it and see,
Have the information on what
yeah.
that line may have been approved for.
All right, the next one is the roofing bids, and the Facilities Committee recommended LSG. They've done apparently a lot of local work around here, and plus the pricing is
And this company was a authorized
laws,
laws,
not a deal, but
They're the designer, actually, they're the designer of the system.
yeah. And
yeah, that's it.
Mills Construction has done work on this building before, but they're not
Was certified.
as of yet.
As of yet, they've done the paperwork to be certified, but I still like the pricing on the LSG.
And what LSG did was they put their yearly amounts based on a full package of supplies now, and the other companies did a percentage increase per year. That's where they come up with different prices like that.
So what is the Facilities Committee bringing to us as a recommendation, the LSG?
LSG.
Are you looking for a motion?
Actually, I have a question though, now that I just, how much is in that, warrant article now, Andrew? Because these amounts are more than the 37 that, we've been putting away per year, so I just want to,
We currently have $65,900 in the account. We'll be adding $37,000 in July.
how much did you say, I'm sorry?
$65,900 in the account now. So we'll be adding $37,000 in July, or after July, which will bring us to $107,000.
37.5.
So it should work out all right with the 37 additional per year.
Right, because each year is less than 37, so we have enough money there now for a couple of years.
Well, no, each year is more than 37. Right?
Well, we're starting out with 100,000.
Well, no, I understand it, but I mean, I just want to make sure because their bid, it's more than the 37. Ralph,
With the money that's already in there and allotted for that, there's a modular that's in dire need of roofing repair. So once we decide where we're awarding the contract to, it is possible that that modular problem could be addressed.
It's part of it.
Modulus part of the
Part
first
of-
section.
Yeah, it is.
right, but it's leaking.
And what I'm saying is if the contract was awarded somewhere today, you know, within 10 days, 2 weeks or something, they could get working on it because the money's already there.
Well, that's what I was trying to get out of Joe and Bob, what, you know, can it last till?
Well, it doesn't have
school
to because
gets
the
out?
money's already in the
He
account.
was
We can
saying
start
till
that.
school gets out, which is only a few weeks, so.
Right. But that LSG was the recommendation for the facilities committee.
Should you make a motion for that?
Yeah, I would make a motion to go with LSG LLC for their 5-year roofing bid of $245,047.
I would second that.
Motion second, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Is that modular in use again?
Not right now.
So is that something that we want to have a construction going on while the kids are here?
You don't need to.
No,
Okay.
he said it's okay to do that.
All right.
They bill is fine till school gets
Top.
out.
With a 40 by 60 top.
Can I ask another question on this US Games stuff?
No. Just kidding.
Is there a timeline to have this,
That's,
because this, do you have to have this done at a certain time to have it back in time for the start of school? Is that another deadline we might have?
He didn't mention any of that.
Okay, because that would be another. Okay.
well, maybe part of the presentation was, you know, when you look at the delivery date on that front page.
It
Looks-
says today. Was
Yeah.
it delivered today?
No.
The bid was due yesterday.
It was delivered yesterday?
The bid was opened up yesterday at 4 o'clock.
Oh, because it says 4/24/2014 at the top. Okay.
It was just submitted then. But it really wasn't a bid.
So what was open yesterday at 4 o'clock? A bid for
I
what?
think you're talking about two different things.
Yeah.
Oh, I went back to this, Andrew.
This right here, the roof.
Yeah.
The roof and the,
Stumping. Which is another issue coming from the facilities subcommittee. So we've decided on the roof, right?
Yep.
The RFP for the tree and stump removal, it's being recommended by the subcommittee to amend the RFP by omitting the stump removal, putting it back out there. So part of the discussion was perhaps the loggers weren't interested in submitting a bid based on the fact that they had to remove stumps. So we're going to attempt to omit the wording stump removal from the RFP, put it back out to bid, and see if we couldn't get 3 competitive bids. The policy that calls for that, it said when feasible.
Well, stump removal is just a backhoe, isn't it? Or an excavator?
Well, that
Right.
stuff has to be done before the project could be moved forward. So if you come in to bring the parking lot into subgrade and prep it for paving and all that stuff, the stumps have to be removed anyway. Somebody who's doing that type of work may be inclined to give a better price on stump removal because all of that earth has to be moved anyway. Loggers who are interested in timber
Don't want to do it.
don't necessarily want to stump things. So my feeling was that may be why we've only received 1 bid. And that bid, we can't call it competitive because it's.
And it could be
Nobody
driving the
competing.
cost of the bid up, too.
Right. Right. So the subcommittee wanted to recommend to the full board to place the RFP back out there once the words stump removal are omitted from the RFP.
I don't have a problem with that. So, but are you putting the bid out to do the stump removal at the same time, or are you gonna hold off on that?
You do that when they
When you do the
start.
groundwork?
Right,
Okay.
because then you're gonna have that excavator there,
Yeah, and it's
And they
easy
can-
to pull them, and you might even be able to bury them somewhere.
right out back. I don't know about that, but
Sink really.
Well, if you need Phil, you need Phil. You might have to,
Sinkhole in the gym.
not good.
no.
Oops. I would never recommend basic science, but, I mean, especially when there's companies that grind them up nowadays and
Yeah.
go back into the economy. So we're
Do you
looking,
need a motion for that?
we should have a motion for that. Steve tried to do it earlier, but we shut him down.
So do you wanna make one now then?
I'm waiting for somebody that's not on the subcommittee to do it.
Well, I'm not gonna know the proper wording, so why don't you make it and then one of us can second it.
All right, I'll make a motion to resubmit the RFP once the wording stump removal is omitted from the RFP and repost it.
I'll second that.
What's that?
Yep.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comment. So,
I have all my reports for when I was on the subcommittee for food service. It was before Cafe Services was hired, and Liz and I spent a lot of time in the cafeteria counting how many kids would have hot lunch, cold lunch, what they were throwing away, what they ate, and I'll be happy to turn those over to you if that would help. At least you get some background of what happened when we were doing it. Plus the fact that I believe there's a report when we went to Alton, and Alton does their own in-house, and there's very little waste. It's a remarkable program. I highly recommend you go in there if you're thinking about doing it yourself. And also, Mary asked me to ask the board if you are considering going back to the ABC report card.
I don't really discuss that.
It hasn't been on the agenda as an item yet, so.
I think that's why she asked me to make that. She couldn't make it tonight.
I think that's a discussion we're gonna have with our administration and trust their judgment and move, and trust their judgment and move forward what they think is best for themselves, the staff and the children. Sometimes, like I said in the forum, change is not easy, but if that's the way that and I'm not saying just to follow the flow, but if that's the way that everybody's going, and we can be a little more precise with individual quirks and kicks of each child in the building. I'm okay with learning something new sometimes. I know, right? I just admitted that. But I don't know. We can ask the administration to discuss it with us. Right?
Put it on the next agenda. Yeah.
Report
Bobby?
cards.
We could put it on the next agenda, can we?
Report
Yeah.
cards.
Put that on the next agenda. Anything else?
That's it, Steve.
All right, yeah, thank you for offering that material. I'm sure that will help out Bob and Bonnie.
Glad to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, can I have a motion to go into non-public?
I'll make a motion to enter non-public pursuant to RSA 91A3, Part 2B, nominations.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Clog eye.
Sierra.
Cool eye.
Joy eye.
Brown, yes. Thank you for coming.
I still giggle.